Right, and I always say this, but I truly mean it. What you've done during this time. I know you just got your master's degree in football. All these Zooms you
Right.
put on, but what you've done is tremendous, and what you do for kids is tremendous. I mean, I've been nothing but impressed with you, and I thank you for doing this. And like I said, anytime you want me on this thing, you just say the word, and I'm there. I knew it was going to be. What do we got in here? We got six. Culture, the cult is such a small niche in coaching, and everyone's zoomed out and all that stuff, so it's probably even smaller than normal. But man, it's my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an air raid guy, and I plug my channel. I got a YouTube channel, Coach Joe Salas on YouTube, and I've just started a podcast, Championship Culture Podcast, because man, I can't get enough of it. To me, it is the most important thing that we do is teaching boys how to be men and giving them some tools that they're going to carry with them the rest of their life. I've told the story before. I was raised in a single parent home. Had a mom that worked two, sometimes three jobs, so I didn't have a male role model until football found me. And coaches taught me how to be a man, and football taught me how to be a man. And I got saved at a coach did a FCA thing, and I got saved. And that they taught me how to pray, and they taught me how to work hard. They taught me how to get my butt up after I got knocked down and wanted someone to come rescue me, and instead they said, get your tail up and get back in it. And that, so, all those things we love about the game. Now, I always say in the past, I was lucky, and probably you guys were lucky, that's why we're coaches, is because we got impacted by a coach. And we were lucky that, we came across God put us in the path of a good man who was a football coach, and he was teaching us some good lessons. But today, culture it's a way to systemize those good lessons. And that's really how we look at it when we talk about culture. It's just now it's systemized. It's by the day, and it gives us a focus every single day. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. All I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the PowerPoint that I use. We just did a 2-week virtual spring practice with our kids. And of course, the very first thing we talked about was culture. And I'm going to run you through that PowerPoint I use with them. And it's got a few things on there that I've never talked about, in public before. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but what I was gonna show you was my MVP sheet, and I've never showed anyone that before. But doggone it, I can't. It's under that what's Apple use? It uses Word or something, not Word. It uses the other one, Pages, and it won't open on this school computer, so I can't. But the things that I was going to talk about on that MVP sheet are on this PowerPoint. So let me go ahead and share. And I'm not seeing anything. Okay, there it is. And then I want to go here, and I want to go here. I want to go here. All right. So some of this stuff I talked about before, but there's a few little.
It's still not shared yet.
All right, it's showing on my screen. So what have I?
So you click the green share screen button, and then a new screen popped up, right?
Yeah, Zoom screen.
Okay. Try one of the other windows. It should be like when that window pops up, it should give you a couple options, and then you hit that blue share button.
Okay, I think I know what it is. Is it here? Are you seeing that?
No.
What in the world did I do, man? I should be an expert at Zoom by now.
Right. You've done a few of these, Coach.
Well, I got to run. We're doing our Sunday school class on Zoom, and they think I'm the Zoom expert, so I got to run the Sunday school class every day. But I sure don't know what I've done wrong, because I can't even get back. Video. I see your face in my top right.
Okay.
And that's all I see.
That's weird. Let me see.
I can't even get yours big again. Like you're little on mine. I can't make it big. I keep hitting the zoom button and nothing's happening.
So is your screen it's not currently shared on your screen right now, is it?
I'm seeing my screen. My screen looks like it's sharing.
Huh. That's weird.
And my camera's on.
Stop the share. So
I can't get to a stop to share. I don't know where Zoom went. You're right in the top right of my corner. Let's see. Exit, minimize video. I don't know if that's going to make you go away if I do that.
You can give it a shot.
All right.
I won't be able to.
Okay, there you go. Now we're big. All right. That was it. So, all right. Are you seeing any of this?
No. Huh, I don't know. That's so weird. If you see if it's at the top of your screen, does it say stop sharing? All right, we're good.
That's embarrassing. I'm really good at this, really, I promise.
You're good, Coach.
All right, here we go. All right, so this is the one we shared with our kids. There's nothing fancy to it. Our mission: teach boys to be men and build winners for life. I told you that story. You know, coaches. I didn't have a male role model at my home, and coaches taught me everything I know about being a man. So I'm a true believer in football, and I'm a true believer in teaching kids. And I've told this story before. You know, my first year as a head coach, I'm a young buck. Eric just came from How Mummy. I'm ready to sling it around. And that first group of seniors graduate, and about the time they're getting ready, you know, it's like this time of year, and it hits me, you know, oh my God, have I taught them anything that's going to help them for the rest of their life? And that's when, so kind of that off season, we took a deep dive into, just back then, it wasn't called culture, it was just creating a mission statement. That was the big thing back then. And I created one that was about 20 pages long. And it's worked down to just this one, and it's just this idea of, you know, how many kids that we deal with have no idea what it takes to be a man, and just this concept of being a winner, you know, that doing the things that men do to win. Because, you know, we've said it before, you know, football's not hard. Football's easy. You know, how many times has a kid came up to you and said, Coach, I'm going to get a job. And I'm like, boy, you're going to be working the rest of your life. Now's your time to play and be a part of something that's bigger than you, because in 5 years, you're going to have a wife and kids, and you're not going to have the option of not going to work. So the whole concept is to instill in them some tools that are going to help them for the rest of their life. You know, there's going to be a time when, you know, I don't want to say Corona hits, but just there's going to be a time when you go to work and the boss says, we don't need you anymore. Or there's going to be a time when the woman you love says she don't love you no more. And there's going to be a time when someone you love, maybe you, maybe someone else, goes to the doctor and they give them a bad report. And they're going to be looking at you. That's the time you got to be strong, and you got to know that you got greatness in you, and that no matter what life throws at you, you can get it done. And that, to me, that's what the whole journey of football is about, is teaching these guys, giving them some tools that are going to help them make it through the real game, and that's the game of life. All right? Our motto, tough people win, and we got that from Randy Jackson, you know, TPW, and just this concept that, and look, we use the word love, and we use the word family, and you know, and I'm an emotional guy. I get teary-eyed, you know, when we're doing different things. So when I'm talking about toughness, I'm talking about mental, physical, and emotional toughness. And it don't mean being hard as a rock all the time. You can be sensitive and be a tough guy. But this is the biggest lesson I want them to know is if you are tough, life becomes easier and easier. But if you are soft, life gets harder and harder. You know, that's just how life works. You know, life don't care who you are or where you're from or what your last name is or what your mama does. Life comes at you sometimes, and you've gotta have a level of toughness that's going to carry you through anything life can throw at you. And then just breaking it down to that, physical toughness to us just means get in the weight room and be physically tough enough to play the game. And mental toughness means can you think and do your job in the big games? You know, uh, you know, can you be at your best when things are at their worst? That's mental toughness. And then that emotional toughness one is just this idea of not being a victim. Emotional toughness. Can you come to practice on the day that your girlfriend broke up with you? Can you come in and function in first period English when your mom, yelled at you and got on your tail before you even got on the bus today? That those are things that life is going to bring at you, and you got to be emotionally tough enough to not let, how many times have we heard a kid say, oh man, this is going to be a terrible day. And it's breakfast. They're in the cafeteria at breakfast, and they're already proclaiming that it's going to be a terrible day because something happened on the way to school. Are you tough enough emotionally to get through the bumps in the road, to have, every day is going to be a great day if you're tough enough to make it a great day. So that's we talk a lot about that. Our rule number one, E plus R equals O. And that's focus 3, guys. And that's event plus response equals outcome. And here's the 2 big ones. And man, I'll be honest with you, and my kids know this, my players know this, that, man, I mess this up sometimes. I mess up E plus R equals O. But by having this structure, it allows you to it's like the GPS. When you get off course, the GPS doesn't say you're off course and you're stupid and you suck and you'll never make it. It doesn't say that. A GPS says recalculating, and it gets you back on course. And that's what, by having this E plus R equals O concept, it doesn't mean you're never going to mess it up, but it does mean that you got a way to correct your path and get back on. So the 2 biggest ones on E plus R equals O is you got to push pause and get your mind right before you respond. And that's the biggest battle. And almost all the big battles happen in our own mind. But you got to be able to, you get in a pressure situation, push pause and get your mind right. Take a big breath and then make your response. And that that'll half our problems will go away by just being able to do those 2 things. And then this I'm not a victim. We circle the wagons before every game where we lock up arms and we have a mantra that we go through. And one of the parts of, one of the parts of the mantra is I'm strong and brave. And one of the parts of the mantra is I am not a victim, I am a conqueror. Meaning when we get out there and think about how symbolic this is of life, when we get out there, those referees, every call's not going to go our way. Every bounce of the ball's not going to go our way. We're going to make mistakes. They're going to make good plays sometimes. We say good things and bad things are going to happen tonight. We're prepared for both. And just this idea of I'm not a victim. I'm a conqueror. There's nothing out there that can happen that we're not prepared for, we're not built for, and that we can't overcome and we can't win. And then you take that to life. We've already given all those terrible examples that can happen in life, and guess what? Some of those are going to happen. But are we going to be a victim when they happen, or are we going to be a conqueror when they happen? I don't know about you, but I've been fired before, and it ain't fun, and it hurt my feelings. But guess what? I went and got another job, and it was a lot better than that job I had before. So just that idea of I could have balled up in a ball and in the field position and cried about who didn't like me and who stabbed me in the back and how unfair it was, or I could have gone and got another job and then found out, what do you know? When I got that new job, man, it was much better than that other job was. So I am not a victim. I am a conqueror. And I want our kids walking through life thinking that way, that it doesn't matter what happens. We got it in us. We are not a victim. We're a conqueror in every situation. And then the a good story. It's not the best story ever, but a good story was it was one of those summers. This was maybe it might be 10 years ago. I'm getting old now, but this was back in the day. The Raleigh station went around and they were interviewing kids because it was brutally hot that summer, like worse than normal. And they were picking seniors off the team, and they would kind of do a little interview of them, and then they hit them with this, oh, how bad is the heat out there this year? And it was probably one of the proudest moments. It was a little dumb thing, but it's one of the proudest moments I ever had. We had a senior that was out there, and they did the little interview, and it was like small clips, so it showed multiple kids in a row. And, they ask their name, their team, and then they'd ask them about the heat. And, 4 or 5 kids in a row, oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's worse than I've ever remembered. Oh, I can't. We got to be careful out there. They get to our kid, and he says, well, our coach told us to bring a gallon of water. So as long as we drink that gallon of water, we're fine. It really hasn't bothered us. And that was like, I was so proud of that guy because that was friggin' toughness. Yeah, if you drink a gallon of water, I don't know about you guys, I've never had a kid that had a heat issue that was drinking that gallon of water every day. And that's to me, that was a sign of toughness and just a sign of, that we're not going to be a victim to anything. Now, obviously, we were being careful out there, but just that concept of we're not a victim. We're a conqueror. This is a situation, and we're going to beat the situation. I've talked a lot about these core principles. Here are our 5 core principles. And the only thing we do that's neat about these core principles is we tie them to a day of the week, and it is like a lesson plan. So at the end of practice, or we do it at the beginning of practice, but everything we do that day, and even I told you I've started this podcast, and one of the things I got from the podcast, Randy Jackson, they have different songs playing that relate to their core principles when the kids come into the field house, and then when the kids come back from practice after the field house, like Friday Family, when they walk in that field house on Friday, they got We Are Family playing. And on Thursday, when they walk in there, they got Tough Enough playing. So they got songs that go along with these core principles, but the idea is every single day, we're going to be talking about these core principles, and we've tied them to a day. And I've talked a lot about this before, but just this concept of the first week, I'll do them all. The second week, I start filtering through the coaches. Then the third week, it starts going, or the third or fourth week when we get through coaches, then it starts going to seniors, and then juniors, and then sophomores, and then freshmen, so that by the end of the year, every single kid on our team has taught the core principle of the day. And it takes 5 minutes. I send out, if you follow me on Twitter, I send out a little tweet every day. And that's the exact same message that I send out to my team on Facebook and Remind. And so all they do is they stand up, they say, Monday's attitude, and they read the quote. And then they explain what that quote means to them and how it relates to attitude. And then then this is the key sentence. They say, when I think about attitude, I think of, and they either tell a little story or they talk about a person, and it's usually someone on their team, but sometimes they'll talk about a family member or a brother that played before. And they tell that little story, and then that's it. So at 5 minutes, we hit that core principle. But the key is we're there. It's not just me standing up there every single day. It's different voices every single day with different stories. And we know as teachers, you learn best by teaching anyway. That they learn more that day that they have to teach it than they learn for 20 days of listening to someone else teach it. So the core principles is one of the most impactful things we've ever done in our program as far as building culture. And I was talking to Coach before we came on. Right now we're doing a little fundraiser, selling all the old jerseys, and we're going to use that money to really put the signs of success up in our field house and really sell these core principles. So within a couple of weeks, every single door in our field house on front and back will have attitude, leadership, work ethic, toughness, and family on it. Every single door in the field house. And that's just having it constantly in front of them. And just that idea of, if your kids don't know what your mission is, then you don't have a mission. That every coach and every kid in our program, if you said, what's our mission? They would say, teach boys how to be men and build winners for life. Every person in our program would be able to say that. Now, I phrased it a different way. I caught them after the first week of spring ball. We're doing it all virtual. That Friday, I started out and said, all right, what is our program about? What if someone asked you what's our program about, what would you say? And I called on 2 seniors, and both of them said, I would tell them it's about teaching boys how to be men and build winners for life. And that's like hitting a grand slam. That's when it starts getting in them that way, that they know that's what we're about. We're a man building organization that happens to play football. That's who we are. And that's that's when you get to that level. Now, our next step, because the most important thing about culture is it's important that you can say it, but the most important part about culture is the behavior that it creates. And so now our big focus this year, and this year's coming, man. I'm praying every day it's coming. All right. Our big focus this year is now I got to start seeing it in school. I see it out here. I see it, kids that are, at-risk kids, troubled kids, they will never cause any trouble out here. And when they're in the weight room or they're on that practice field or they're on that game field, they're perfect. They're all in. But now I got to start seeing it in English class and in math class and in the hallways. That's our next step. As an organization, that's our next step, is to start seeing that behavior in the school and start impacting the behavior of everyone in the school. All right. So the last one, and I've never talked about this creed before, so this is kind of a new thing, but our creed, and I'll be honest with you, our creed was so long the first 2 years that I couldn't remember it. But we make them in summer camp stand up in front of the whole team and say the creed. And they struggled, but they did. They all memorized it, and then immediately it was like the Gettysburg Address. They memorized it, and then they forgot it. But this year we changed it to this. This came out of our very first leadership meeting in January. This is what came out of it, was this change of our creed. And this is the story, because everyone looks good in the clinic and sounds good in the clinic, but real life happens. And this is what happened to us last year. I knew we had a tremendous group of seniors, and I knew our leadership was going to be just out the gate. That really the first year I was here, it was the junior class that really made the difference. And now they were seniors, and we had them all. We had a bunch of them. So I just knew it was going to be out of the park. And before we even get, as a matter of fact, it was on team night of all things. That's a night that we come in and we spend all day at the school and finish up with a practice, call it Midnight Madness, and send them home about 1 a.m. All right. So it's a real bonding time. Well, the whole team is in the varsity side of the locker room. Coaches are in the office. People are getting tired, but we're getting, we got kind of like a 10-minute dead period that we're getting ready to go back outside and practice again. And I hear a ruckus in the locker room. I go in there, and one of our best players, a junior offensive lineman, has picked up a transfer kid and stuck him in the trash can. And of course, everyone laughs, and of course, I absolutely lose it, because not only was this a leader on our team, a junior leader on our team, but every single senior on our team was sitting in that locker room, and nobody, I'm getting emotional just remembering it, and no one stopped it. Not one senior stepped up and put a stop to it. And that haunted me. And of course, I went out and we bear crawled and we did all the things that, we got our minds right. And when we were done, they understood why that was so important to me. that you can't build a family when you're afraid. And I just, so it was very, I'm almost getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. It was so impactful, and it was so disappointing to me that would happen. And I know as far as hazing goes, that's very minor, but man, it shook me. I mean, it literally, I'm almost getting teary-eyed. So in January, I started with that. I started by telling that story. Now this kid's a senior, and he's still, I mean, legit one of our best leaders on our team. I mean, kids look up to him. But I told this story, you know, he's one of our best leaders. He's our best offensive lineman. And that's so out of his character. That's not even the kind of guy he is. But I told him, you know, what do you think all those freshmen felt after they saw it? Because everyone was in there. The freshmen, they were all in the varsity side locker room just kind of waiting. And what do you think them freshmen felt when they saw that happen? Do you think that they looked up to I don't want to say his name, but he's a great kid, great player. But do you think they looked up to him, or do you think they were afraid of him? Do you think in their mind they were thinking, hey, if I'm ever in trouble, all I got to do is get to him? Or were they thinking, I don't want to be around him. He might grab you up and throw you in a trash can. So we went through this, and it was an emotional time in there. It was just in our leadership meetings, it's just seniors and quarterbacks. That's the only ones in that meeting. And we came up with this creed because we want this to happen. We want this to be who we are, is that any underclassman on this team knows that if they're ever in trouble anywhere, I don't care where it is. It could be someone's picking on them in a locker room. It could be someone's messing with them in the cafeteria. It could be they're over there in Clinton going to the movies and someone from some other city starts messing with them. They got to know that all they got to do, if they look around and they see one of our seniors, all they got to do is get to him, and he'll take care of them. He'll protect them. He'll have his back. That's what our senior leadership is going to be about. So this is our creed we came up with. I am a servant leader. I am here for you. I believe in you. I will fight for you, and we are family. And then we came up with this. This is from that podcast. I promise you need to be watching that podcast, because I got the best guys in the world talking about how they build their culture. And I got this from an old buddy down in Georgia, Sean Pender. This is their hashtag, all about the family. That we are family, and we are all about the family. And if you are ever in trouble, all you have to do is find a senior, and they will protect you, and they will have your back, and you will be safe. And that's what we want our leadership to be about, is we are all about the family. And that's who we are, and that's what we believe in, and that's how we want to carry ourselves. So our seniors, you know, when they introduce themselves now, when they stand up, they say, hi, my name is, and I am a servant leader. And that's the whole focus of our leadership now, is that they are servant leaders, and they are here to help you, and they are here for you, and they believe in you. And that kid, and again, it was so out of character for him. That kid, when we got to the second round of the playoffs, we're playing Tarboro. And remember, they were on like a 3-year undefeated streak at that time. And we had a great game plan for them. And we went out there and we moved the ball well, and then our quarterback gets sacked, and he didn't break his collarbone, but he screwed up his shoulder so bad that he was done. First series of the game against Tarboro, and our JV quarterback runs onto the field, who's literally played probably 10 snaps the entire year. And he has to play his first significant playing time. He plays the rest of the game. And that kid, that offensive lineman, was the one when things got shaky, because he threw several touchdowns that weren't our touchdowns. You know, he threw a couple pick sixes, and that offensive lineman was the one that would settle him down and tell him that he believed in him and pat him on the back and said, hey, keep fighting. So he had that in him. But this is what, you know, this is who we want to be. This is who we want our seniors to be, and this is who we want to be as coaches. You know, how many times have we, jokingly said something to a kid and then thought later, man, that was funny to everyone, but not that guy. You know, that we got to be that servant leader, and they got to know if they can get to us that they're safe and that we're always going to have their back. And, you know, I almost get my feelings hurt when a kid texts me and asks me if he can use me as a reference. And I always text back, of course, you can always use me as a reference. For the rest of your life, you got me as a reference. And I always tell them you're made of the right stuff. So that's where we're at. And, I've never shared some of that before, but, we're in historic times, and we got a lot of people that are hurting, and it's it's our job. We're not here to be their buddies. We're here to be their fathers, and we're here to teach them the things that we want our sons to know. Because if you're like me, I've got 2 daughters, and these guys, they're my sons, and I want them to be champions. I want them to be conquerors. I don't want them to be victims. And I it's like with your real kids, it hurts me that they're gonna face some tough stuff in life sometimes, and it's not always gonna be fair. But I want them to know they got what it takes. They got what it takes to defeat anything that comes against them. They are not victims; they're conquerors. And that's it, buddy. I appreciate you having me on again.
No, absolutely. Love that stuff. I do believe, like, the mental toughness aspect, I feel like, is so important. If you can master that, that physical toughness stuff will come. But honestly, and I know me personally, I mean, I think I've talked about it, but in a different way. But I like the fact that you referred to that other stuff as emotional toughness, which is, I mean, how many times, right, do you have a kid that comes on that field and something happened during the day and he's just in a crap mood and he's allowing that to dictate how he practices? You know what I mean? We talk about all the time, once you cross that line, man, this is what it's about. We all have stuff going on, right? I mean, even as coaches, we walk onto that field with stuff elsewhere that may be weighing on us, but, we push that to the side so we can get the job done. So that emotional toughness aspect is really cool. That you referred to it as that. I like that a lot.
So I saw that guy that does all the TikToks, the coach that does the TikToks, and he had the thing about putting the whistle on. That's kind of our, I've heard Brian Cain talk about that the kids got to have this attitude where, they're like Superman. When they change into that practice uniform, they put all of life's problems in the locker, and they are now Superman. And then because those problems will be there when they come back. No doubt. And the same for us as coaches, man. That's like a big – when we put that whistle on, we got to be focused on these guys, and we can't be worried about the wife being mad. I've told the story before. You're getting text from the wife wanting you to get home to do something, and you got the kid waiting there for a ride, or the kid that tells you there's no food at the house. Mm-hmm. And, that's your job, man. Those are your kids. Those are your sons.
Yep.
And – you might have to take it from the wife, and you might have to take her out to dinner that weekend, but you got to take care of that kid. You got to run them through and let them get the dollar menu at Mickey D's, and you got to take them home because there might not be someone at home that does love them and is going to take care of them. So that's our job. That's what we sign up for.
No,
And
sure. And as teachers too, right? The same thing in the school building. I mean, I think about it sometimes. You may see a kid that maybe is kind of off to himself or whatever the case may be. And it's like, you may simply just ask how his day is. And then, you think about it sometimes, it's like you may have been the only person all day long that asked him that or asked her that, and it just goes such a long way. I mean, the position that we're in as coaches and as teachers is such a pivotal one where we can be so impactful in both ways, right? I mean, unfortunately, there are coaches out there that may not be doing things the correct way. And, so you can be so impactful, both positive and negatively. But if you choose to do it positively, which the majority does, of course, think about the impact that we as coaches have on the future of this country, right? With all these, the youth coming up. I mean, that's what it is. We're looking at the future. We're coaching up the future. So how we conduct both on and off the field with those guys is so important. And, having that strong culture for sure teaches them so much invaluable lessons that they'll take with them forever, right? I mean, I think everybody remembers things that their high school coaches told them, and it's so important.
And I've talked about that before, just that idea that, you're going to get quoted for the next 50 years. We're going to be dead and buried, and there's going to be some old guy sitting in McDonald's with his buddies, and he's going to quote you. He's going to quote something you said back in the day, that it really is. You're impacting people forever. And, even I've never known a really bad coach, that did it the wrong way, but I've known some mean ones. And you know what? Even those mean ones, they impacted me. They impacted me. Now, I didn't really like them, but they impacted me, and they made me better. I had to be stronger to be around that mean, that mean guy all the time. So even the mean ones. Now, like I said, I've never known a bad one, but it's just the culture, and we're just in such a perfect time to they didn't even have the word back in the day, and now that we throw it around too much, but it can be such a tool to make such a difference. And, we talk about the 4 for 40. We got 4 years that's going to impact these guys for the next 40 years. Mm-hmm. And that's a big, and it used to be back in the day, I'm old enough where, the teachers used to do this. The teachers used to do character ed. But they're stressed out now. They don't have time to do it. They're worried about test scores, and they've got, different programs coming in, different initials. Everything in school's got initials for it. They got all these initials coming at them, and they're completely stressed out. But we got the kid, and the kid don't even want to be in that class a lot of times. And here we got a venue where they want to be there, and they want to please us. And they are open to what we're selling, and we got to use it. We got to use it, and we got to impact these guys and give them some stuff that's going to help them down the road, because down the road's coming. They don't believe us till they're seniors, and then all of a sudden they say, "Man, Coach, I can't believe how fast this happened." And that's we've been telling them that since they were freshmen, that it's going to go like that. But until they're seniors, they don't realize it. But man, I want them. I want them quoting the right stuff. And they talk about old crazy Coach Salas. I want them to say, but he taught me this. He taught me what attitude. He taught me what toughness was. He taught me not to be a victim, but be a conqueror. And, that's important to me.
No, for sure. And if any other coaches have any questions, just drop it in that chat. I did want to ask you something. Obviously, you've established a very strong culture amongst the team. Do you see your assistant coaches kind of creating their own cultures within the culture, so like with their position groups?
They are now. I've got a very young staff, and it's going to be a very, very good staff. So, but it's good that when you got a bunch of young guys, they want to please me, and so that's kind of the beginning. I always talk about first learn the system and then improve the system. Well, that used to only be talking about X's and O's back in the day, but now that's talking about culture. So they're doing their own. I've told them I'm going to drop by your position meetings, but I haven't. I've wanted them to have their position meetings with just them as the leader. I want their position guys looking at them as the guy, and so it's coming. But they've been all in on teaching this culture the way that we do it. And like I said, they're young guys, and they're fired up, and they're biting at the bit to get back out there on the field. But I'm very blessed. I got some of them played here before, and that always adds a little something. When you played in the program, that adds a little something. So I got 2 that played here and 2 that played for me at another school. So we got a real good group of young guys that are gonna be special. And but yeah, they're all in, and they're teaching, and they're the head coach of their position group.
Absolutely. Coach, do you want to share your contact information one more time? If anybody wants.
I figured this out. I'm Coach Joe Salas on almost everything. So I'm Coach Joe Salas on Twitter. I'm Coach Joe Salas on YouTube, and I'm Coach Joe Salas on Gmail. So there's 3 good ways to get up with me, and I look at Twitter almost every day. So that's a good. I got people. I know what DMing means now. My friends were so proud of me when I use that term the first time.
See what quarantine has done for you, man?
Yeah. Well,
that MVP page sheet. I mean, I have a Mac myself. Would you be able to? Would I be able to see that?
I'll do it again, just kind of like that Zoom thing when we just got started. I was at home and I was updating it, and it said I couldn't save it. It said it would only save the original. So then I was thinking in my brain, well, that means I just need to come to my school computer. Maybe I did it on the school computer, and then it wouldn't pull it up at all. So once I get it fixed, I'll send it to you. But that's always been kind of the top secret thing. But like I said, this niche is so small that so few guys are really truly interested. I always say culture is like special teams. Everyone talks about how important it is, but then no one wants to spend any time on it because it's hard. It's hard to practice, So but I'll send it to you once I get this little what's this thing called? This little disk drive or not disk, flash drive.
Flash drive. There you go. Well, Coach, once again, man, always a pleasure to get you on, and always dropping some knowledge and really, helping us as coaches get better. So I just want to thank you for that, and of course, thank you to the coaches who joined us today. And it's been fun. It's crazy. This is week, I don't even know, 12 or 13. I think I'd have to go back and look, but we've done a few of these.
You've done a great job, man.
We've done a few.
I can't. The amount of knowledge you've got on that what's that? Is it the drive?
Yeah, the Google Drive. Yep.
Yeah, the amount of knowledge. As a matter of fact, I had a buddy from Georgia saw the tweet and was like, "What is that thing?" And I said, "Oh man, you got to go and you got to see his. You got to go on his drive.
Page. Yeah, the link in the Twitter page.
Unbelievable the amount of knowledge you got there. But man, I appreciate that you've been so faithful in doing this, and you've helped a lot of dang people. I tell you that.
No, it's been fun, and I'm like I said, I've said it a million times. The X's and O's talks are always a lot of fun. I mean, we're football coaches, we love that stuff. There's something about these culture talks and just like leadership talks and things like that. For me, I just get so fired up about it. People ask me what my favorite talk on that drive. I mean, there's so many good ones, but the one that kind of stood out to me, I don't know if you got a chance to check it out, but Bill Curry was on. And he did, Coach, and I tell you, like, he did, it was so, like, the amount of wisdom that he has is, like, it's insane. And, like, when he's talking, you can just feel it. Like, I had chills just listening to it. And the stuff he talked about was, I mean, it was so invaluable. And, man, what a tremendous talk. So if you got some time, Coach, definitely check that out.
I'll be looking at that one tonight.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you thought, what you think about it. But I'm telling you, man, I mean, and then the fact that, someone asked him at the end just, because he played center, how many different quarterbacks he snapped to. And I mean, it's like he listed off the all-time greats of quarterback play in the NFL. It was crazy. But such a good session. I push anybody to listen to that one. And once again,
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Had nothing to do with X's and O's. So, you know what I mean? But Coach, man, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.